Roth here of RotoGrinders, and today we're going to talk about the RG Discord. If you're not a member, you should be. It is a fantastic community and resource that RotoGrinders provides, and it's easy to join as well. All you have to do is click the Discord icon on RotoGrinders or go to rotogrinders.com/discord. From there, you'll either sign up if you're new to RG, or if you're already a member, just click the link at the top to go to the sign-in page. Once you've logged into your RG account, you can be taken to Discord to log in there. Once you've connected those accounts, you won't have to leave the server. You can freely close out and reopen Discord without ever having to reconnect. The idea of Discord might be a little bit daunting to you, but it's actually pretty simple to navigate. Whether you're on mobile or desktop, the far left side will show you the Discord servers that you've already joined. Then next to that, you'll see the channels within that Discord. We have both free channels like Chiefs Prop Shop and our daily sport channels, and we also have premium channels like Blender's Game Theory or the Crunch Time channels. Premium members can see the difference between the free and premium channels by looking for a padlock icon next to the premium channel names. We also have a few pointers for new and experienced users alike. If you're having trouble finding a channel, make sure that you haven't collapsed the section that the channel is in. Collapsing a channel will only allow it to appear when there are unread messages in that channel. Also, we find that using the actual Discord program works better than opening it in a browser like Safari or Chrome. Lastly, if you're having trouble with one of our tools, your RotoGrinders account, or any other technical needs, you can hop in our feedback and help section of channels to get help from one of our wonderful support and moderation team members. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out on Twitter @RotoGrinders or email support@rotogrinders.com. See you in Discord.
Welcome to the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka Blender HD. If you want to follow me there on Twitter. And it's Casual Friday. It's Friday. Hey, it's Friday, which means we'll be going over yesterday's NBA slate. Maybe slightly look at today's slate. What does it matter in the NBA? Also, maybe talk a little MMA. Got a pay-per-view card coming up tomorrow. Maybe even some soccer stuff for some Casual Friday. So get those thumbs ups in early in the morning. Give me those thummy thumbs. You know, I like them. I like eating those thumbs in the morning. And hit that subscribe button if you're new here. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. I see you guys in the YouTube chat. Infamous Tuck, Suki Singh, Apocalypse, Hog Lawrence, Trey, Steve Anthony, Daniel Hutchins, Trey again, right? The morning crew is here. It was the morning crew up late last night. Were they last night? Last night I played the $3.33 Mountain Dew, whatever the hell thing on FanDuel, 150 max. Lost money, but not a lot. I think I put in $4.99.50 and got back I think $3.50 or something like that. I'd one really good lineup with Jeremy Lamb's 2 points in it. That if that was anyone else, maybe I could have had a shot at first place. But the Kings, that they said they're going to go shorter rotations, and then they did. Then De'Aaron Fox plays 39 minutes. So don't believe anyone. Don't believe the coaches. And then we had, like we've been seeing, Fred VanVleet out again. OG Anunoby out. I think he's going to be out for the next 2 weeks. So that opens up the Raptors again. So Malachi Flynn, 4,200 on DraftKings, a little too cheap. We know they scored 19.25 points, but he did show up in like 2/3 of the top 1% lineups anyway. It was 6,200 on FanDuel, so maybe not as much of a play there. Scotty Barnes, you got Siakam, but he got into foul trouble. And then we got the Heat because Lowry was out and then Butler was rolled out. And then they had the starting lineup with Omer Yurtseven started to play double big against, I'm assuming because of Durant being back for the Nets and Drummond being on the court also, that the Heat really don't have any size, right? The Heat. Butler. I mean, Butler's not huge or anything like that, but you need someone to defend against Durant and Drummond also. So they went with Yurtseven at center and Bam to basically defend against Durant, and that didn't work out very well. Caleb Martin. Originally, we thought maybe Caleb Martin would start and not Omer Yurtseven. And then second half, they basically just benched Yurtseven and ran with Caleb Martin. So if you late swapped yesterday, you got screwed. Pretty much. And we could see here, even with if we compare exposures with a bunch of sharp players, we take a look at Omer Yurtseven. He was 29% owned at minimum price on DraftKings. And if we look across the board, outside of Cheese, who I guess just didn't swap based on the starting lineup news, Chipotle Addict 97, JBC 100%, Kobe for MVP 69%, Royal Pain 96, Ship My Money 69, Brick 75 80, The Colts 97, Oxen Duck 100, Petty Theft 62, RBX 83, Ahabro 47. So if you swapped over to Omer Yurtseven and only got 7.75 points, you were with most sharp players. Okay. The projections around the industry was a little wide. I think we had him at 16 minutes, and some other sites had him as far as up as 24 minutes. But he played 7 minutes, got into foul trouble, and then never came back. Just never came back. And then Caleb Martin came out and got 12x, a little over 12x. After being one of the top projected plays, if he were to start, ended up playing nearly the entire second half. So you can see here, Caleb Martin was 20% owned, and many people didn't have much, right? Single did, most were under because of that starting lineup change. Yeah, Cheese, 28%, but he also barely had any Yurtseven. But Ship My Money had a little bit more of Caleb Martin. So if you made that swappy swap, instead of going by the results of like, oh, what happened? Well, most sharp players went with Yurtseven. He was even less owned. I think he was 12% owned on FanDuel because obviously he could only play one center, and it was after lock, and he's 3,500, and I don't know if you need him. Let's see. Looking through the YouTube chat a little bit. Shouldn't have. Well, Jabocalypse is saying I shouldn't have made the late swap to Yurtseven. Well, if you were to play like some of the most profitable NBA DFS players, you would have done so. Okay, can't just go by one day's results. I'm judging myself based on what other sharp players would do, right? So I looked through all this. I mean, I didn't play on DraftKings yesterday, so I can't compare 1-to-1. But I played, I had plenty of Tatum, plenty of Siakam on FanDuel, a bunch of Dejounte Murray, he did fine. A bunch of Max Struss, he did fine. I had a bunch of Gabe Vincent, and he got into foul trouble and then didn't do much. 10 points for 4,500. If you look across the board, it's not like people were like under or anything. 37% owned. And you see across the board, 38, 30, 35, 34, 38, 36, 35. So it's not like a lock button or anything, but you had a lot of Vincent. You were on board with pretty much everyone else. Going through over here, but I mean, you could also look in the other way. Like, if you had a lot of Pirtle, it's like not many sharper players played a ton of Pirtle or played a ton of, let's see. Let's take a look. Look for the zero. Like Morant, it's like John Morant, not much. Right? Bogdan, barely any. Even though he scored 34 points. I mean, he did better on FanDuel than he did on DraftKings. Or Trey Lyles, kind of a mix. Some people had some people had none. Right? Terrence Mann, here's one. 7% owned, but pretty much no one has him. Right? Barely. 2%, 1%, 2%. So this to me, this is how you judge, right? Horford had one hell of a game, right? What was Horford's ownership on DraftKings? 9.6%. and people were over for the most part. Yeah. 9.6% owned, and we see 14, 21, 31, 14, 16, 24, right? This is the type of thing you go to results DB in the morning or after the slate is over to review. Have a little review. It's hard for me to review FanDuel because they don't have publicly downloadable CSVs. But you can still scroll through your recent history and take a look at some lineups. Can I look at Trae Young's ownership? You could just pull it up. I don't know why you can't. Trae Young was 4% owned. Right? Some people had a little. It was possible he wasn't even going to play. Remember, he was like a game time decision. Game time decision to the highest scoring player on the slate. It's not like people slammed him or anything. I think Brick had 18%. That's about the most. But I mean, Royal Payne and Petty had him in one lineup, RBX, and 2 or 3 lineups. Bro, 2%. So it's not like it was a standout or anything. Yeah, Trae Young could always hit a ceiling. Why not? Okay. What's going on today? Don't have many people on the injury report. What? We still have Fred VanVleet, right? Thad Young, Wendell Carter Jr. questionable, Jared Vanderbilt, Chris Duarte. Does that matter that much? I have no idea. We don't have Anthony Edwards is out, right? That's why Malik Beasley, who plays 25 minutes, 3,200 with DraftKings. Yeah, it seems like the Minnesota OKC game is from the initial projections, right? I mean, the projections team will come in and start adjusting some of this stuff. A campaign again. Is that going to work out against the Knicks? I don't know. But we have to see. I don't know. That's why going over NBA at 11 o'clock in the morning doesn't make much sense at all. Got MMA tomorrow. I still haven't updated all the odds. These odds are all from like Wednesday, Tuesday night. But the interesting thing about the MMA slate on tomorrow, we got 13 fights, and because of a late replacement, there are 2 5-round fights. The Dos Anjos Moicano fight is the co-main, is a 5-rounder, and originally Dos Anjos was he's getting a replacement now, so Moicano's stepping in on short notice. He just fought like 2 weeks ago. So now Dos Anjos is now the favorite, but they don't change the prices on DraftKings. So Dos Anjos is a $7,300 favorite. So he's priced as an underdog. If he at minus 157, he would normally be priced probably around 8,600, 8,700. But now he's priced at 7,300, especially on a slate where we have a bunch of fairly big favorites. Nurmagomedov is minus 700. Covington is minus 330 in a 5-round main event. Marina Rodriguez, Kevin Holland, Alan Bakov. I mean, so we got a lot of high-priced guys. So some of these low guys are not all that appealing, which means Dos Anjos at 7,300 is going to be very popular. And same for Moicano, I guess, right? A 5-round underdog fighter for 7,200. I'm saying, but that's going to be the construction. Covington, people are going to play Covington and Dos Anjos as their it's quite possible you don't even need another underdog. Right? You could just go right down the middle if you want. You could take Dos Anjos, you take Covington, and then you just take some in the middle. Right? We take a look here. You take the winner of you take Jalen Turner or Bryce Mitchell. Maybe you could fit in Kevin Holland into that type of lineup. Right? So you don't have to worry about that much on the bottom when you have Rafael Dos Anjos there. But it's not like he's a major favorite. He's minus 157 over Moicano, who's plus 137. Inside the distance lines are okay. But at 57% owned, if he loses, it's still quite. I mean, dude, if he wins, I mean, let's say it's a let's say it's a 3rd round stoppage, a striking stoppage. Like, it's quite possible that he only scores like 72 points. And you never know. One of these other underdogs wins, 1st round stoppage or something, and not even optimal. But compared to other fights, I mean, I would prioritize that fight, 7,300, 7,200 in that range. Most likely, like, it's very heavily possible, especially if none of these other underdogs win. If Elliott, Oliveira, Jonan, Masvidal, and Kelleher, if none of them win, that the winner of that Dos Anjos Moicano fight is going to be optimal. I mean, because some of these other fighters aren't even that appealing to begin with, like Greg Hart, like Marina Moroz, Olajaychuk is only plus 500 inside the distance. I mean, even Barboza is only plus 310. So you don't have much here to begin with. Greg Hardy, I don't know how you trust Greg Hardy. Same for Ludovic Klein. These aren't like huge scorers. These are knockout or bust type of fighters. Like Olajaychuk could get a submission, 6 takedown type of victory, I guess. But like Klein and Hardy are both like they're strikers. So it'll be interesting roster construction. I think, leaving money on the table. I think having a Covington Dos Anjos lineup that spends almost all their salary, maybe those are unless you're playing really low owned stuff together, I would not play that in large field GPP. You're gonna run into too many duplicates. But this is my setup right now. I got some ownership, got some projections. I got to update all of this, so feel free to take a snapshot now. It's not going to matter that much. So I gotta fix a lot of stuff, update everything. But I like these types of cards. I like these types of cards where there's a clear, like, obvious path. We have a mispriced fighter, a mispriced over-owned fighter probably, but he still rates out well. If you take a look at my rating system, still for that price, I mean, he still rates out the best anyway, right? But I got Klein and Hardy there because of their ITD lines compared to their ownership. If Klein and Hardy are going to be 12, 13%, they have a better than 12 or 13% chance of finishing in the 1st round. And a 1st round victory for either of these guys is what? 9 with a knockdown is over 100 points. And 177, 175. Right, that's what I see here. Right, and towards the top end, Holland looks like he's going a little under-owned, even though he's going to be owned at 33%. And the question comes in with Nurmagomedov is, does he, not if he wins against Kelleher, but does he score enough for 9,600? Right? He's one of sometimes these fighters, they win in the 1st round, they don't even score 100 points. But Nurmagomedov, if 1st round, 4 takedowns, 3.5 minutes of control time and a TKO, grounded pound stoppage, yeah, he'll score 115, score 120. Then you're fine. Then you got Covington, and he's got 5 rounds to work with. But he's 9,400, so I mean, that's pretty hefty also. I don't think Masvidal's going to win, but that's MMA. Taking a look around, see how long my voice lasts, right? I think I could get about 30 or 40 minutes out of my voice. It's getting better throughout the course of the week. Then we got soccer tomorrow. We've got soccer tomorrow morning. We got 10 a.m. Wake up 10 a.m. Eastern. 5-game slate. You could use our projections. We got English Premier League projections as well as Champions League projections when they play midweek. So sign up to RotoGrinders Premium. We got MMA. We got MMA projections. We got soccer projections. Click on the link in the description. Get $10 off your 1st month. And the thing about the projections in MMA, golf, and even soccer is you have to understand what the distribution looks like for players. Okay, So like in MMA, for instance, like we'll go, like if I go back to my sheet and I look at the RG median projections for fighters, and I go like Jalen Turner, median projection is 64. He rarely scores 64 points. Okay. He's going to score 30. He's going to score something like 10 to 30 or somewhere between 80 and 100. But he's rarely going to score 64, even though that is the median. Right? Greg Hardy, 45. He's rarely going to score 45. He's going to score 18 or 86, something like that. Same thing for golf. You'll see golf projections similarly. Well, if they miss the cut, they're going to score 28. If they make the cut, they're going to score 72. So their projection in the middle is it's a median. That's what median projections are. So you have to know the difference. So you're not just doing things based on a strict median projection. You can do that in NBA because in NBA, the players' distributions are normal or more normal. Nothing's perfectly normal. So what's a normal distribution? These are what normal distributions look like. The bell curve, right? If we take a look here, we ran out the outcomes 1,000,000 times, 10,000 times, whatever amount of times. In NBA, if we have like a median of like 30, right? That means that 30 is right here. You see, right at the top of the curve. So the outcomes are like anywhere from 5 points to 55 points. But it doesn't happen that often. That's why they're at the bottom ends of the curve. So you have 30 in the middle. Where's 29? 29's right here. 31's over here, right? So how often does this player put up 40 points? Well, it's about right over here. About the 80th percentile or something. One standard deviation range. This is what a normal distribution looks like. So basketball players tend to have more normal style distributions because it's not event based, right? Baseball, less normal. Because someone could go 0 for 4, get 0 points, or they hit a home run and get 14, 16 points. But some of these, depending on the batter, if they're a power hitter that strikes out a lot, you may see the median projection of 8. But they don't score 8 that often, right? Because what's 8 points? 2 singles, a run? No, they're the type of player that either strikes out or hits a home run. So those types of distributions would be considered bimodal or multimodal distributions. In a bimodal distribution, it's not normal. So figure something like this as a bimodal distribution. Like we're talking about the MMA fighters. Like Greg Hardy has a median of 45 or 50, like right in the middle, right over here. Right? That is the median. That is the middle number of the entire set of outcomes. But it actually happens one of the least amount of times. He'll score a lot of 25s and 30s and a lot of 75s and 75s. Okay? So looking at that median, what does that tell you? That doesn't tell you that much. It just tells you the middle. And you're looking for fighters that just because the median is one thing, like we take a look here, like someone like Maria Agapova, for instance, median of 70. Well, she's not really a wrestler, right? Typically in MMA, knockout or bust people have much more higher bimodal distributions and less normal. Wrestlers, only because they could score control time and 5 points for takedowns, have higher floors. They also have higher ceilings. But their distribution will be a lot more normal. Normaler. Still bimodal, but still a little bit more normal. Very similar to soccer. A lot of people use our soccer projections because we had a conversation I saw in our Discord, our premium Discord, which you can be part of if you subscribe. Click on the link in the description, get $10 off your first month. That people are just like, oh, I'm going to play this card. Here's a median projection of of 8 or a 10 or something. It's like, well, it depends on the type of player. Especially in soccer, like in NBA, players do have different standard distributions, standard deviations, but they aren't that dramatically different from one. In soccer, they could be dramatic, depending on the position that you play, the style of play. Center forwards typically in soccer have very high standard deviations. Wide wingers with set piece duty, typically, or fullbacks, typically have more normal distributions. So if we could see here, we go to Chelsea, for instance, who's the biggest favorite tomorrow against Burnley. You look at their formation, and we see here that they're playing with the back three defenders. These guys are typically worth not much on DraftKings, right? We got two wing backs, James and Alonso. We got Mason Mount, who's playing as an attacking midfielder, who also takes most of their set pieces, their corner kicks, their free kicks, which, Chelsea will probably get 10 to 15 through the course of the game. So those are like free points for Mason Mount. They got Pulisic here, who's kind of an attacking midfielder, and Kai Havertz, who's going to play as technically a false 9, but he's going to play as a center forward. This may be Lukaku. Who knows? They may start Lukaku. He's been playing hard. So someone like Kai Havertz has one of the best shots on the entire slate to score a goal. But if he doesn't score a goal, he doesn't do much. He doesn't touch the ball that often, right? He's the guy closest to goal. He's going to get fed balls from James, Alonso, through balls from Kovacic and Mount, some interplay with Christian Pulisic. But like most of he's going to have about 3 or 4 opportunities in the game, probably take 3 or 4 shots, maybe 2 go on goal, maybe. And maybe he scores 1, maybe he scores 2, maybe he scores none. If he scores none, he could end up with 3 points. If he scores 2, he could end up with 26 points. But if we take a look, at the Chelsea projections, for instance, Kai Havertz has a median projection of 9.22 currently. Kai Havertz rarely scores 9 points, right? Because look at that bimodal distribution. That 9 points is there where my mouse is. He's going to score 3 or 4 points a lot of the time, or he's going to score 14 to 18 points a lot of the time. But he's rarely going to score 9. But then you take a look at someone like Mason Mount, who has a median of 18. He could score 18 points without a goal or an assist, Mason Mount. So goals and assists are the highest variant things. They're like home runs in baseball. They're like touchdowns in football. So Mason Mount doesn't necessarily need a goal and assist to score 12 points. His distribution looks more like this. His 18 points is up over here. Because he's going to get crosses. He's going to get fouls drawn. He's going to get shots on free kicks. So you can get a lot of stuff like that. Same for like Alonso and James, right? Alonso and James both have medians of 16. Those are these guys on the sides. Now they're expensive. Like all these guys are expensive. That some of the highest projected players on the slate tomorrow. But they could get to these numbers, these medians, in a much more normal distribution. While if we take a look at Pulisic, well, we don't even have Pulisic listed as the starter. We have Lukaku here, right? Lukaku, 10.57 median. Lukaku, when does he ever score 10 points? Because if you score a goal, that's 12 points. Okay? So to score 10.5, you're talking about like 6 shots, 2 fouls drawn, 3 shots on goal, like that. Like he's not that much of a volume shooter. So when people start putting their lineups together, using median projections in soccer, they don't take into account what the distribution of the players are. So then they end up with a lineup. It's like, look, my lineup is projected at X and it's owned at X. That the distribution of that lineup could be way different. Obviously, players that have more bimodal distributions are probably more suited for GPP play. While players that have more normal distributions could still be fine for GPP play, but they're floor oriented players. So if we take a look here, if we just went, it's like, oh, I'm just going to press the optimize button, right? So like if you were to press the okay, here's our current projections. So here's the top projected median lineup, which for most other sports would be like, that's what you'd play in cash games. And you take a look at this and you say, well, this is the highest median lineup, 96.95. It has Alonso, it has James, it has Lamptey, who's a high floor defender. You have Mason Mount there. High floor set piece taker. That's great. John McGinn for Aston Villa. He has a floor. Okay, he's fine. Not on set pieces. But it's fine. But then look at the two forwards you're playing. You're playing Pukki and Ings. Pukki and Ings are very bimodally distributed. Very bimodally. I mean, Ings may not even play 90 minutes for Aston Villa. Like Danny Ings and Teemu Pukki, they don't score. They're going to sit there with two points, right? They're not going to do much. So in cash games, if neither of these two guys score, you're going to be in bad shape. Yeah, but they have projections for 7 and 9. Yeah, but they don't score 7 and 9. If they were to score 7 and 9, I'd be fine with them in cash, in a cash lineup. But they don't. They score either. Pukki will score 2 or 14. Rarely ever going to score 7. Danny Ings is going to score 4 or 16, but rarely is he going to score 9 points. So knowing what the distribution of the players are. So like in the forward spot, especially because we're dealing with a lot of, goal dependent players. So like for cash games, for instance, and someone like Philip Coutinho would be much better. Trossard, right? Rajishka. Right? These are guys that their median projection is much more normally distributed. Even Brian Mbeumo, like we have Brian Mbeumo down here at 6,400, 8.93. You'd be like, well, why am I playing a guy with 8.93 over a guy like Danny Ings, who is 9.57? It's like, well, Brian Mbeumo, because he's a wide player who has a share of set pieces for Brentford, like he could score. He could score 8 points. He could score 9 points in a game without a goal or an assist. 6 crosses, 2 fouls drawn, 2 shots, 1 on goal, something like that. A tackle 1. He's sitting there with 8 points. It's like, okay, got 8 points out of my forward spot. I'm fine for 6,400. Better than relying on if Ings scores, he doesn't score. That's gonna determine your slate. So Mbeumo would have a much more normal distribution. But Coutinho would have the highest normal distribution for a forward eligible player. So he may be worth it more to play to fill your forward spots for a cash type line. Like Havertz is 5,700. It's like 5,600. 9-point median. Why don't you play him in double ups? Well, I mean, you can. Just understand that his distribution is bimodal. But typically, in low-risk contests, 50-50s, double-ups, head-to-heads, you're not trying to score the most points. You're just trying to score, 55th percentile type of thing. The easiest path to that score. And in soccer, where goals aren't scored as often, right? Relying on 2 goal scorers in one lineup when you just have to hit a 55th percentile is probably suboptimal. Now with GPP, yeah, you do this. Yeah, then that's fine. Right? GPP, you're looking for that. You're looking for the bimodal type of players. Right? You actually sometimes actively avoid the normally distributed ones. Like we have guys, for instance, on the other end of the spectrum, like someone like Billy Gilmore, if he starts. someone that's on set pieces for Norwich. But he typically plays in a much more defensive midfield position. I don't know if Sova has him in. If we'll go here to Norwich. Right. Yeah, we don't have him in the lineup. But like Bill Gilmore would be in the place of Matthias North. Someone that sits back, doesn't do that much in open play. He's not very close to goal, and he doesn't create chances that often. So outside of him taking corner kicks and free kicks, he doesn't do much on the field as far as generating peripheral points. So someone like that has a nice median of 8.98. I don't mind. I don't mind it. But he doesn't have that much of a ceiling. Joe Matinho there's another one, typically. Douglas Luiz, and here there's another one. Similar type of player. A defensive-minded midfielder that also takes free kicks and corner kicks and stuff like that. So he gets that floor. He gets that from, in that distribution. He gets a lot of that from set pieces, from corner kicks and stuff. But as far as when he's not doing that, he doesn't do much. He's not going to take many shots. He's not going to create many chances. So the ceiling on those types of players are much lower. The distribution is way normal, right? Even flatter. But knowing the difference, I mean, that's part of like knowing soccer. Now, if we had the standard deviations of each player, you'd be able to figure that out on your own anyway. You wouldn't have to know soccer. But since we don't have standard deviations of the players in lineup HQ, you'd have to know the difference, right? Not just simply going by median projection. Hog Lawrence asks in the YouTube chat, do you set ownership caps on fighters? And do you come up with a percentage based on how well they are rated? It depends on risk tolerance, right? I mean, you answered the question yourself. Like based on my current thing right now, I'm gonna have a lot of Ludovic Klein and a lot of Greg Hardy. But like if I don't set a cap, like do I want 80% of each? I mean, he could. I mean, how much better rated of a play is Klein and Hardy from Michael Olajaychuk? It was 0.9, or Nikolai Negumereanu, or whatever his name is. Like, yeah, like according to my rating, my leverage score, Klein and Hardy are better. But not so much that I should have 80% of one and 10% of the other. But that's what's going to end up happening because of the 0.05 points more. So I'm going to end up with Klein, with him being 1.04 and 0.95. This is obviously, I haven't updated anything. But if these were the final numbers, I'd get like so much Klein and barely any Negumereanu. But like, I shouldn't have an 8-to-1 difference probably. But that's a risk tolerance thing. If I decide, if I was just playing 3 lineups, then I would just play Klein in 2 of them, and Negumereanu in none of them, right? I mean, we're talking about, when it comes to exposures, we're talking about risk tolerance. But based on my rating, there are going to be more plus EV lineups with Klein and with Hardy than with Negumereanu. There's still plenty of plus EV lineups with Negumereanu, right? Like there aren't as many with Barbosa, based on my numbers. Aren't as many based on Jacoby, based on these specific numbers, right? The lowest rated fighter is Jan Jajonen, whatever. However you pronounce her name. Plus 700 inside the distance. Have 11% owned. Does it mean I have 0? If I play 150 lineups, maybe I only get her in 3. Or maybe I just decide to say, screw it. I don't even want those 3 lineups and X her out. You can do either. You could find hundreds of plus EV lineups. From there, it's just a matter of what your diversification is. How much risk do you want to take on? Some people don't mind. Just like, I'm going to lock in 2 guys in 100% of my line, right? I mean, you want to do the Klein and Hardy. Yeah, who cares if they're only 12 and 13% owned? I'm going to be 8 times the field, and if they put up 100 plus, I'm in great shape. 150 outs. Yeah, but if they both lose, you're dead. You get 0 return, which if you want to do that, that's fine. It's all dependent on your own risk tolerance. Just build good lineups. Don't build bad lineups because you have 150. Build good lineups. Okay, so we covered a bunch of stuff on Casual Friday, right? This is what we do sometimes on Friday. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on, right? Got soccer, got MMA. I taught a math lesson, right? So we learned about 2 different types of distribution curves, okay? We talk about this in the course. So if you want more stuff like this, mathematical concepts that help you think like a professional DFS player, the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports, 15-hour audio DFS masterclass. Me and James McCall. It's like a seminar. We go through the entire thing. All the daily fantasy game theory that applies to any sport. Doesn't matter. All those types of contests. So go to theoryofdfs.com, pick that out. And we got Grinders Live later today to go over tonight's NBA slate. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 game slate. Who knows what shenanigans are going to go on tonight? So check that out with Dean and the crew. Crunch time for premium members. Also, Grant's live lock show. That's on at 2 p.m. Eastern. So if you're into prop betting, go check that out and subscribe to RotoGrinders Premium. You get all the tools, all the projections, all the everything, the premium Discord. I'm in there all the time. So click on that link in the description. Get $10 off your first month. Give me those thumbsy thumbs. The thumbsy thumbs. Give me the thummy thumbs. On your way out the door, give me the thumbs up, the thumbs downs, the thumbs to the sides. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. Hit anything that you want. And I'll be back. I'll be back on Monday. Answering your DFS strategy questions, as always, on the DFS pregame show on RotoGrinders.com.